was having a terrible day, and it was about to get much worse. The environmental control panel in Section 7 had been acting up for 3 days straight. Every time thought he had fixed it, the temperature would drop or spike within hours. His supervisor was getting annoyed and was running out of ideas. He hung upside down in the maintenance shaft, his tool belt digging into his waist as he tried to reach the faulty connection. The diplomatic station called Horizon's Promise was humanity's first real home among the stars. After decades of being watched and tested by the Galactic Coalition, humans had finally been accepted as members. The station orbited in neutral space, a meeting point for dozens of alien species. Had been thrilled to get assigned here 6 months ago. He was just a maintenance engineer, but he got to see incredible aliens every single day. Right now, though, he was just trying not to electrocute himself. He pulled hard on a stubborn wire connector. It came loose suddenly and jerked backward. His elbow hit the panel above him, and the whole cover plate came crashing down. He scrambled to catch it, but it slipped through his fingers and fell out of the maintenance shaft into the corridor below. The metal panel hit the floor with a loud clang. Winced and pulled himself out of the shaft to apologize to whoever might be down there. He poked his head out and looked down. His heart stopped. Standing in the corridor was the tallest alien he had ever seen up close. She had to be at least 6 feet and 8 inches tall, maybe more. Her skin was like polished silver, shimmering under the station lights. Patterns of bioluminescent markings ran down her arms and neck, glowing a soft blue. She had 4 arms, each one muscular and ending in sharp claws. Her face was angular and sharp, with large eyes that were completely black except for violet pupils that seemed to shine from within. She recognized the species from the safety briefings, were warriors, one of the most feared species in the galaxy. They had conquered 17 star systems before joining the coalition. The briefing had been very clear: be respectful, don't stare, and absolutely do not provoke them. The panel had missed her by about 2 inches. Scrambled down from the maintenance shaft so fast he nearly fell. He landed awkwardly and stumbled forward, his face burning with embarrassment. "I am so sorry," he said quickly, bowing his head. "I didn't know anyone was down here. The panel just slipped and I—" He looked up at her face and his words died in his throat. She was staring at him with those intense violet eyes. Her markings were pulsing slightly, shifting from blue to something lighter. Up close, she was even more striking. The way the light caught her silver skin, the elegant lines of her face, the graceful way she held herself despite her warrior build. The words came out before could stop them. "I'm sorry for nearly hitting someone so gorgeous." The corridor went completely silent. The woman's eyes widened. Her skin flushed from silver to a deep violet color, spreading from her face down her neck. Her markings started pulsing erratically, flashing between blue and pink and purple. She stood completely frozen, all 4 arms hanging at her sides. Realized what he had just said. Oh no, no. What had he done? He had just called a warrior gorgeous. He was going to die. She was going to rip him apart right here in the corridor. But she didn't attack. Instead, 2 of her arms suddenly shot out and grabbed by the front of his uniform. She lifted him up until his feet dangled above the floor. Her face was inches from his, and he could see that her skin was still that deep violet color. Her breathing was fast and shallow. "Say," she said in heavily accented standard language. Her voice was deep and rough. "Again, human." Smine went blank with panic. What?" She gave him a small shake. Her markings were glowing so bright now that they lit up her face. "What you said, say it again." I said I'm sorry for almost hitting you," tried. "No," she shook her head and her long silver hair moved like liquid metal. "The other words." Swallowed hard. "You mean calling you gorgeous." Her skin flashed even brighter violet. She made a sound that might have been a gasp or a growl, couldn't tell which. For a long moment, she just held him there, staring at his face like she was trying to solve a complicated puzzle. Then she set him down, very gently. Her hands were shaking slightly as she pulled them back. She took several steps backward, her eyes never leaving his face. Her markings were still pooling that strange pink-purple color. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something, then closed it, then opened it again. Finally, she turned and walked away very quickly, almost running. Watched her disappear around the corner, her long legs carrying her away in huge strides. Stood alone in the corridor, his heart pounding. What had just happened? He picked up the fallen panel with shaking hands and climbed back into the maintenance shaft. He couldn't focus on the repair work. His mind kept replaying those violet eyes staring at him, the way her skin had changed colors, the way she had demanded he repeat himself. An hour later, sat in the station's small cafe, telling his best friend Minyu what had happened. Minyu Park worked in the liaison office, so he knew a lot about alien species and their customs. Minyu's face went pale as told the story. "You did what?" Minyu said, his voice getting high. I know, groaned, putting his head in his hands. "I panicked, she was just so. I mean, you should see her, Minyu, she's incredible." Minyu leaned forward. Don't have a concept of beauty. Their entire culture is about being warriors. They're raised in combat schools from the time they can walk. Appearance means nothing to them. They don't compliment each other. They don't even have words for pretty or beautiful in their language. Lifted his head, so calling her gorgeous was either a terrible insult or, Minyu paused. I actually don't know. I've never heard of anyone complimenting a before. This isn't in any of the cultural guides. She turned purple, said quietly. Her skin changed color, and she made me say it again. Minyu pulled out his and started searching through files. Purple. Let me check. Skin color changes indicate emotional states. He scrolled through information. Let's see. Red is anger, green is combat readiness, blue is calm. Purple is... He stopped reading, his eyes going wide. What? Asked. What does purple mean? Minyu looked up at him with a strange expression. It's listed as confusion with heightened physiological response. Basically, she didn't know how to process what you said, but it affected her strongly. Is that good or bad? I have absolutely no idea, Minyu admitted. But you might want to avoid the diplomatic wing for a while, at least until we figure out if you accidentally insulted a warrior species or something else. But avoiding her would prove to be impossible, because the next morning, arrived at his next repair job and found the tall woman standing outside the door, waiting for him. Her skin was silver again, but her markings were glowing bright blue. When she saw him, they flickered to pink for just a moment before returning to blue. She stared at him. He stared back. Neither of them said a word. For 3 days, Na followed everywhere. He would arrive at a repair job, and she would be there, standing at a distance with all 4 arms crossed. He would go to the cafeteria for lunch, and she would be sitting 3 tables away, staring at him while pretending to read. He went to the observation deck to clear his head, and she was already there, standing by the window. She never spoke to him, she just watched. Was terrified and confused in equal measure. He had tried to apologize several times, but every time he approached her, she would turn and walk away quickly, her skin flashing that purple color again. Minyu had searched through every cultural database available, but there was nothing about and compliments. Maybe you should report this to Captain, Minyu suggested during lunch on the 4th day. This is getting weird. Shook his head. And say what? Is standing near me sometimes. I'll sound paranoid. She's not just standing near you. She's tracking your every move. It was true. Had started to notice patterns. Null would arrive at each location about 5 minutes before he did. She positioned herself where she could see him clearly but far enough away that they wouldn't have to interact, and those violet eyes never stopped watching him. That afternoon was repairing a wall panel in one of the quieter corridors when he felt the now familiar prickle on the back of his neck. He turned around. Null was there, standing about 20 feet away. But this time was different. She was closer than usual, and she wasn't looking away. Took a deep breath. This had to stop. He put down his tools and walked toward her. She tensed, her 4 hands clenching into fists. Her skin flickered between silver and purple. "Look," said, stopping a few feet away. He had to tilt his head back to look at her face. "I'm sorry about what I said the other day. I didn't mean to offend you or insult you or whatever I did. It just came out. I didn't know it was wrong in your culture." Na stared down at him. Her markings were pulsing faster now. "Wrong," she repeated, her accent thick. "Yes, I shouldn't have said it. Mean you told me that you don't care about appearance, that it's not important to your people." "Menu," she said slowly. "Who is Menu?" "My friend. He works in liaison. He knows a lot about different species." Something changed in Na's expression. Her eyes narrowed slightly. "He told you about?" "Well, yes. I wanted to understand what I did wrong." Na was quiet for a long moment. Then she took a step forward, fought the urge to step back. She was so tall, so powerful. 2 of her arms reached out and for a second thought she might grab him again. But instead, she gestured to the empty corridor around them. "Come," she said. It wasn't a request. She turned and walked down the corridor, hesitated for only a second before following her. She led him through several turns until they reached a small, empty meeting room. She went inside and waited for him to follow, then closed the door behind them. The room felt very small with her in it. Na turned to face him. Her skin was shifting colors constantly now, silver to purple to pink and back again. "This word," she said, "gorgeous, explain." Blinked. "You want me to explain what gorgeous means?" "Yes, human words are confusing. Database translation says it means pleasing to look at. But Menu says do not care about this, so why did you say it?" Felt his face heating up. How was he supposed to explain this? "Well, it's a compliment. When humans think someone looks nice, we tell them. It makes people feel good." "Feel good," Na repeated. She tilted her head, studying him. "When you said this word to me, I felt." She paused, struggling with the language. "Strange. My body temperature increased. My heart rate accelerated. My skin changed colors without my control. Is this feeling good?" "That sounds more like being flustered or embarrassed," said carefully. "Flustered," Na tested the word. "What does this mean?" "It means feeling nervous or confused, usually because of something someone said or did." Na's markings flashed bright pink. "Yes, this is accurate. You made me flustered." She took another step closer. "Why?" Was backed up against the wall now. "I don't understand the question." "Why did you say I am gorgeous?" Her 4 hands were braced against the wall on either side of him, caging him in. Her face was close to his. "Are warriors. We are built for combat. Our appearance is designed for intimidation and efficiency. We are not made to be pleasing to look at." "That's not true," said before he could stop himself. "What?" "You are pleasing to look at, very much so. He gestured helplessly at her. "Your skin catches the light in this amazing way. Your markings are beautiful. The way you move is graceful even though you're so strong. Your eyes are incredible. When you look at someone, it's like you're really seeing them. And your face is." He trailed off, realizing he was rambling. Na was completely frozen. Her skin had gone from purple to a color had never seen before, a soft lavender that seemed to glow. Her markings were pulsing so fast they looked like they were vibrating. Her mouth was slightly open, and she was breathing hard. "You truly think this," she whispered, "about this form, my form?" "Yes," said honestly, "I think you're gorgeous." Na made a sound that was almost a whimper. One of her hands came up and touched his face, very gently. Her claws were sharp, but she was careful not to scratch him. Her hand was warm and slightly rough. "Impossible," she breathed. "Say it once more." "You're gorgeous," said, his heart pounding. Her eyes closed. Her hand on his face trembled. The lavender color spread across her entire body, and her markings were glowing so bright the room was lit up in pink light. She stood there for several long seconds, not moving, just breathing. Then she pulled her hand back like she had been burned. Her eyes snapped open, wide and almost frightened. She stepped back, all four arms wrapping around herself. "I must go," she said quickly. "I have duties. I should not be here." She practically ran out of the room, leaving alone and confused. That evening, Captain Song called to her office. Was the commander of the Human Diplomatic Corps on the station. She was in her 50s, sharp-eyed and no-nonsense. She sat behind her desk with her hands folded, looking at with an unreadable expression. "Do you know why you're here?" she asked. "I can guess," said miserably. "Commander L of the delegation came to see me today. He's concerned that one of our people has been having inappropriate interactions with his subordinate, Na." Winced. "I can explain." Held up a hand. "He didn't file a formal complaint. He just wanted to understand what happened. So I need you to tell me, in your own words, what's going on between you and Na." Told her everything. The panel, the compliment, Na following him, their conversation in the meeting room. Listened without interrupting, her expression getting more and more thoughtful. When he finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she leaned back in her chair. "This is unprecedented," she said. "We've never had a situation like this with a before." "Am I in trouble?" "No, but I think we need to handle this carefully. L is worried that Na has become distracted. Apparently, her work performance has changed. She's been missing training sessions and spending time in the database looking up human customs." His eyes widened. "She has." And when L asked her about it, she became defensive and refused to explain. Tapped her fingers on the desk. "Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to assign you to give Na a formal cultural orientation on human social customs. Official records, proper channels. That way, if she wants to understand what happened, she can learn without it being a problem. You want me to teach her about human culture. I want you to help her understand why you said what you said and what it means in human terms. Can you do that?" Thought about Na's face when he had called her gorgeous again. The way her skin had glowed. The wonder in her voice when she asked him to repeat it. "Yes," he said, "I can do that." "Good. Sessions will be twice a week in meeting room 7. I'll inform L. This is purely educational. Keep it professional." Nodded and left the office. As he walked back to his quarters, he couldn't help but smile. Professional, right? This was going to be interesting. The first cultural orientation session was the most awkward 2 hours of his life. Na arrived exactly on time, wearing what looked like formal attire instead of her usual warrior armor. It was still intimidating, all sharp angles and dark metal, but it was clearly ceremonial. She sat in one of the human-sized chairs, which was far too small for her. Her knees were almost up to her chest, and her 4 arms didn't seem to know where to go. Sat across from her with a full of notes he had prepared. He had spent 2 days researching human social customs, trying to figure out how to explain things like compliments and attraction to someone who had never encountered these concepts before. "So," he started, "let's begin with basic human social interaction." Na pulled out her own. 2 of her hands held it while the other 2 hovered in the air, ready to take notes. She was sitting very straight, very rigid. Her skin was silver and her markings were a steady, controlled blue. She looked like she was preparing for a battle. "Humans are social creatures," continued. "We use words to build connections with each other. One way we do this is through compliments." "Compliments," Na repeated, typing with 2 fingers while her other hand stayed perfectly still. "Yes, a compliment is when you say something nice about another person. It can be about their appearance, their skills, their personality, anything positive. And this makes humans feel good." "Usually, yes. It shows that you notice them and appreciate them. Na's skin flickered slightly toward purple before returning to silver. When you said I was gorgeous, this was a compliment. Yes. You were trying to make me feel good. Well, not exactly. I wasn't trying to do anything. It just came out because I thought it was true. Her eyes fixed on his face. You said it because you believed it. Yes. She was quiet for a long moment, her fingers frozen above her. Then she started typing again. Explain gorgeous. Give definition. Thought about it. Gorgeous means beautiful in a striking or impressive way. It's a strong compliment. It means someone is so pleasing to look at that it's almost overwhelming. Overwhelming. Na's hands started fidgeting. Two of them were gripping while the other two were tapping against her legs. This is a positive thing. Yes, it means you had a strong positive reaction to seeing someone. I see, but her skin was definitely purple now, spreading from her neck up to her face. And humans say this often. When we mean it, yes. Do you mean it often? Do you say this word to many people? Shook his head. No, I've actually never said it to anyone before. It's not a word you use lightly. Na's markings flashed bright pink. She stood up suddenly, the chair scraping against the floor. She paced to the window, her long legs carrying her across the room in 3 strides. She stood there with her back to him, her 4 hands clenching and unclenching. Are you okay? Asked carefully. I do not know, she said, her voice rough. These human concepts are confusing. In culture, we do not speak of such things. We are raised in combat from the time we can walk. We learn to fight, to follow orders, to serve the empire. Our worth is measured in victories and strength. Nothing else matters. That sounds lonely, said quietly. Na turned around. Her expression was difficult to read, but there was something raw in her eyes. I have never thought of it that way. It is simply how things are. What about friends, family? Do not have family in the human sense. We are born in genetic facilities and raised by combat instructors. As for friends, she paused, we have battle companions, warriors we trust to fight beside us, but we do not share personal feelings or speak of things beyond combat. Stood and walked over to join her at the window. Outside, stars glittered in the darkness of space. Then what made you want to become a diplomat? That seems very different from being a warrior. Na was quiet for so long that thought she might not answer. Then she spoke, her voice soft. I was tired of war. I have fought in 17 campaigns. I have seen countless warriors die. I have killed many enemies. And one day I looked at my hands and wondered if there was more to existence than blood and steel. She held up her 4 hands, turning them over. These hands are weapons. I have trained my entire life to use them for destruction. But sometimes I wonder what else they could do. They could do anything, said. They're your hands. You get to decide what to do with them. She looked at him with those intense violet eyes. In my entire life, no one has ever said anything like that to me. On my world, your path is chosen at birth. There is no decision. But you decided to come here. You chose to be a diplomat. Yes, and my superiors think I am wasting my potential. They believe I am running away from my purpose. Her markings dimmed to a darker blue. Perhaps they are right. I don't think so, said firmly. I think it takes more courage to choose a different path than to just follow the one you were given. Na stared at him. Her skin shifted through several colors, purple to pink to that soft lavender. She reached out with one hand and gently touched his shoulder. Her palm was warm even through his shirt. You are strange, she said. You say things that make my body react in ways I do not understand. When I am near you, my temperature increases and my heart rate becomes irregular. This has never happened before. His own heart was beating faster. For what it's worth, you have the same effect on me. Her hand tightened slightly on his shoulder. Explain this. Why does this happen? I think it's called attraction. When you like someone, being around them affects you physically. It's a human thing. Is it only a human thing? Na asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know, maybe not. They stood there at the window, her hand on his shoulder, looking at each other. The moment stretched out, full of things neither of them knew how to say. Then Na's communicator beeped. She pulled her hand back quickly, her skin flashing back to silver. She checked the device. I must go. Commander L requires me for a briefing. Okay, same time next week. She nodded, but at the door she paused and looked back at him. These sessions, they are officially for cultural education. Yes, but I do not think that is why I wish to continue them. Before he could respond, she was gone. The next session, Na was different. She still sat stiffly in the too small chair, but she didn't pull out her right away. Instead, she looked at with a directness that made him squirm. I have questions, she announced. Personal questions about humans, about you. Okay, said slowly. What do you want to know? Why did you choose to work here, in space, far from your home planet? I wanted to see the universe. Earth is amazing, but there's so much more out there. I wanted to be part of something bigger. And your family, do they support this choice? Smiled. My mom worries constantly. She sends me messages every week asking if I'm eating well and staying safe. My dad is proud but tries not to show it too much. It's a very Korean thing. Korean. That's my ethnicity, my cultural background on Earth. Na leaned forward. Tell me about this, about your Earth culture. So did. He told her about Korean food, about the importance of family and respect for elders, about the music and art and history. Na listened with complete focus, her eyes never leaving his face. She asked questions about everything, wanting to understand each detail. Your species has many different cultures, she said. Even on one planet are unified. We have one culture, one purpose. Don't you think that's limiting? I used to think it was strength. Now I am not certain. Their sessions became less like formal education and more like conversations, would explain human customs, and Na would share stories about life. She told him about the endless training, the strict hierarchy, the absence of anything soft or gentle in her upbringing. We are taught that emotion is weakness, she said during their 5th session, that feelings make a warrior vulnerable. Do you believe that? I believed it for my entire life, until you called me gorgeous. Her skin flushed purple. Since then I have felt many emotions, and I do not feel weak. I feel more alive. Reached across the table and took one of her hands. It was huge in comparison to his, and her claws were sharp, but she was careful not to hurt him. I'm glad, he said. Na looked at their joined hands. In culture, we do not touch except in combat. Do you want me to let go? No, she said quickly. I do not want that at all. Her skin turned that glowing lavender color, and her markings pulsed with soft pink light. She intertwined her fingers with his, awkward but gentle. Teach me more human words, she said softly. Words about this, about feelings. So did. He taught her about happiness and contentment and joy. He taught her about curiosity and wonder, and carefully, hesitantly, he taught her about affection. Affection, she repeated, a gentle feeling of fondness or liking. Yes. I think, she said slowly, I feel affection for you. He smiled. I feel affection for you too, Na. Her whole body seemed to glow with that soft lavender light. Outside the window, the stars shone on, and inside the small meeting room, a human and a warrior learned that sometimes the greatest courage was simply being honest about what you felt. Everything changed the day X arrived at the station. Was eating lunch with Minu when the commotion started. The cafeteria doors burst open, and a massive warrior strode in. He was even taller than Na, built like a tank, with silver skin and markings that glowed an aggressive red. He scanned the room with cold eyes until he spotted the section where Na sat with 2 other diplomats. X marched over to their table and slammed one of his 4 fists down on the surface. The sound echoed through the suddenly quiet cafeteria. "Nah," he announced in a voice that carried across the room. "You have brought shame to our people." Na stood slowly, her skin shifting to green, the color of combat readiness. "X, I was not informed you would be visiting the station. I came when I heard the reports. Is it true? Have you truly become soft, distracted by a human?" The entire cafeteria was staring now, felt his stomach drop. He started to stand, but Minyu grabbed his arm. "Don't," Minyu whispered urgently. "This is business. If you interfere, you'll make it worse." Na's markings were pulsing with bright blue, a sign of controlled emotion. "My duties are performed adequately. I have given Commander L no cause for complaint." "Adequately?" X's voice was full of contempt. "You were once the finest warrior in our sector. You had 17 confirmed kills in single combat. You were being considered for the elite guard. And now you sit here, playing diplomat, spending your time with a weak human who repairs broken machines." Felt heat rise in his face, but Minyu's grip on his arm tightened. "I made my choice," Na said, her voice steady. "It was approved by the council." "The council made a mistake." X circled her slowly like a predator. "You have forgotten your purpose. You have forgotten what you are." "I know exactly what I am." "Do you? Then prove it." X stopped in front of her. "I challenge you, traditional combat trial, hand to hand, no armor, first blood, tomorrow at dawn in the station's combat arena." The other in the room made sounds of approval. A challenge was sacred in their culture. Na couldn't refuse without losing all honor and status. Na's skin flickered between green and purple, her hands clenched into fists. "I accept your challenge." X smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Good. When I win, you will resign your diplomatic post and return to active military service where you belong." He turned and left. The cafeteria remained silent for several long seconds after he was gone. Na stood frozen at her table. Her skin was shifting rapidly through colors, unable to settle on one. Then she walked out quickly, her head down. Pulled free from Minyu's grip and ran after her. He found her in the observation deck, standing at the window overlooking Earth. Her forearms were wrapped around herself, and her skin was a dark, troubled purple. Na said softly. She didn't turn around. "You should not be here. I wanted to make sure you're okay." "I am fine. This is a simple challenge. I have faced many before." Walked up beside her. "Minyu told me about X. He's never lost a fight." "This is correct. He has 43 confirmed victories in single combat. He is larger than me, stronger than me, and has more experience." "Then why did he challenge you?" Na finally looked at him. Her eyes were bright with unshed tears. Hadn't even known could cry. "Because he is right. I have changed. I have become distracted. I think about things that warriors should not think about. I feel things that make no sense." "What things?" "I think about your smile. I think about the way you explain concepts with your hands moving in the air. I think about how small and fragile you are and how this makes me want to protect you. I think about what it would be like to—" She stopped, her skin flashing bright pink. "These thoughts make me weak." "They don't make you weak," said firmly. "Then why am I afraid?" Her voice cracked. "I have faced death in battle many times without fear, but the thought of losing this fight, of having to leave the station, of not seeing you again, it terrifies me." Took her hand. She let him, her fingers curling gently around his. "What if you didn't have to win? What if you just walked away?" "Do not walk away from challenges. To do so would be the ultimate shame. I would lose my position, my status, everything. Commander L would be forced to send me back to my home planet in disgrace." "That's not fair." "Fair is a human concept. Follow honor and strength." They stood together in silence, looking at the blue and green planet below. Finally spoke. "When you fight tomorrow, what are you fighting for?" Na looked at him, confused. "What do you mean?" X is fighting to prove you're weak, that you've lost your way. But what are you fighting for? She was quiet for a long time. I do not know. I used to fight for glory and honor, but now I want to fight for the right to choose my own path. I want to fight for the possibility of being something more than a weapon. Her skin glowed soft lavender. I want to fight for these feelings I have when I am with you. Squeezed her hand. Then that's what you should think about during the fight, not about being strong enough or fast enough. Think about what you're protecting. Na pulled him into a hug. It was awkward because of the size difference and her 4 arms, but it was gentle. Wrapped his arms around her as far as they would go. She was warm and solid, and he could feel her heart beating fast in her chest. She whispered, "If I lose tomorrow, I want you to know something." "Don't talk like that. Please, let me say this." She pulled back enough to look at his face. "Before I met you, I thought I understood my purpose. I thought being a warrior was all I would ever be. But you made me see that I could be more. You called me gorgeous, and for the first time in my life, I felt seen as something other than a weapon. Thank you for that gift." "You're going to win," said stubbornly. "And after you do, I'm going to call you gorgeous every single day until you're sick of hearing it." She laughed, a sound he had never heard from her before. It was rough and unpracticed, but real. "I do not think I could ever tire of hearing that from you." That night couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the fight, about X's size and reputation, about the possibility of Na losing and being sent away. Around 3 in the morning, he gave up on sleep and went to find her. He found her in one of the station's small training rooms, going through combat forms. She moved like water, all 4 arms flowing through complex patterns. Despite her size, she was graceful, each movement precise and controlled. She stopped when she saw him. "You should be sleeping." "So should you." "I cannot, my mind will not quiet." Sat down against the wall. "Then practice, I'll just watch." She hesitated, then resumed her forms. Watched her move, watched the play of light across her silver skin, the way her markings glowed with exertion. She was beautiful and deadly, strong and vulnerable, a warrior learning to be more. After an hour, she stopped and sat beside him. They sat in silence, shoulders touching. "I'm afraid," she admitted quietly. "I know. What if I am not strong enough?" "You are, but strength isn't just about physical power." "Then what is it?" "Thought about it. It's about knowing what matters and fighting for it, even when you're scared. It's about being brave enough to change and grow. It's about protecting what you love." Na turned to look at him. "What I love." Their eyes met. His heart was pounding. "Yes." She reached out and touched his face with one gentle hand. "You are very wise for someone so small." He smiled. "And you're gorgeous even when you're terrified." Her skin glowed that soft lavender. "Say it again, please." "You're gorgeous, Na. You're the most beautiful person I've ever seen." She closed her eyes, her whole body seeming to relax. The tension in her shoulders eased. When she opened her eyes again, they were clear and determined. "I will win tomorrow," she said. "Not for honor or glory, but for this, for you, for us, for the right to choose my own path." "That's all you need," said. They sat together until dawn, drawing strength from each other's presence. And when the first light appeared through the viewport, Na stood. "It is time," she said. "Stood too, you've got this." She looked down at him, this small human who had changed her entire world. Then she leaned down and pressed her forehead to his, a gesture of deep affection in culture. "Whatever happens," she whispered, "thank you for making me feel gorgeous." Then she turned and walked toward the arena, ready to fight for her future. The combat arena was packed. Word had spread through the station about the challenge, and it seemed like every alien species wanted to watch. Rarely fought each other in public, and never over something as unusual as this. The arena was a large circular space with energy barriers around the edge to protect spectators. The floor was hard metal, unforgiving. stood in the front row with Minyu and Captain. His hands were clenched so tight his knuckles were white. "She can do this," Minyu said quietly, though he didn't sound convinced. On one side of the arena, X stood waiting. He was massive, his 4 arms crossed over his chest, his skin a confident red. He looked like a mountain that couldn't be moved. On the other side, Na entered. She wore traditional combat cloth, nothing else. No armor, no weapons, just as the challenge rules required. Her skin was green, combat-ready, but could see the nervous purple flickering at the edges. Her markings pulsed blue. Commander L stood in the center as the official witness. He was old, a veteran of countless battles. He looked between the two fighters. "This is a traditional challenge combat," he announced. "Hand to hand, no weapons, no armor, first blood ends the fight. Do you both accept these terms?" "I accept," X said. "I accept," Na said, her voice steady. "Then begin." L stepped back. For a moment neither fighter moved, then X charged. He was fast for someone so big. 2 of his fists swung at Na's head while his other 2 aimed for her body. Na dodged back, but X kept coming, pressing the attack with brutal efficiency. The crowd watched in silence as the 2 fought. X was powerful. Every blow he landed made a sound like thunder, but Na was faster, more agile. She ducked and weaved, using her smaller size to her advantage. Still, she was being driven back toward the arena wall. "Come on," whispered. "You can do this." X caught Na with a glancing blow to the shoulder. She spun with the impact, using the momentum to create distance. But she was breathing hard already. X barely looked winded. "You have learned human weakness," X taunted. "Where is the warrior who defeated the champion? Where is the fighter I once respected?" Na didn't respond. She circled him carefully, watching his movements, but could see something in her stance that worried him. She was fighting defensively, trying not to lose rather than trying to win. She was afraid. X pressed forward again, and this time he was ready for her speed. He caught her with 2 hands, holding her in place while his other 2 fists hammered at her defenses. Na blocked most of the blows, but some got through. Her skin was already showing signs of damage. "This is over," X said. "Yield now and save yourself the shame of defeat." "Never," Na growled. She broke free with a desperate surge of strength and landed a solid hit to X's chest. He stumbled back a step, but only 1 step. He smiled. "Good, show me the warrior you used to be." They clashed again, and this time X was not holding back. His fists were like hammers, and each impact drove Na further back. She was losing, could see it. Everyone could see it. Na fell to one knee, blocking an overhead strike with all 4 arms. X stood over her, ready to finish the fight. "It is done," he said. "You have proven my point. You are too weak now to be a true warrior." And something inside snapped. "That's not true," he shouted. The entire arena went silent. Every head turned to look at him. Minyu grabbed his arm, trying to pull him back, but shook him off. He pushed to the energy barrier. "Na," he called out, "you're not weak. You're the strongest person I know." Na looked up at him, her eyes wide. "You think changing makes you weak," continued, his voice ringing through the arena. "You're wrong. It takes more courage to grow than it does to stay the same. You're not less of a warrior now. You're more, because you're fighting for something that matters." X turned to glare at him. "Silence, human. This does not concern you." "Yes, it does, because she's fighting for the right to choose her own path, for the right to be more than just a weapon. And if you can't see how brave that is, then you're the weak one." Look directly at Na. Her skin was purple now, glowing bright. "You're gorgeous, Na. You're beautiful and strong and brave. Show him what I see." Something changed in Na's expression. Her skin shifted from purple to that glowing lavender, and then to something had never seen before. A brilliant silver white, bright as a star. Her markings blazed with golden light. She stood up. X swung at her, but this time she didn't just dodge. She flowed around his attack like water, moving with a grace that was almost like dancing. She had always fought like a typical all-power and aggression, but now she fought differently. She was still strong, still fast, but there was something new in her style, something fluid and beautiful. She wasn't fighting to prove she was a warrior. She was fighting to protect what she had found, fighting for her right to be herself. X tried to match her, but he was built for straightforward combat. He couldn't adapt to her new style. Na spun around his defenses, landing strikes he couldn't block. Her four arms moved in perfect harmony, no movement wasted. "What is this?" X demanded, confusion and anger in his voice. "This is me," Na said. "All of me. Warrior and diplomat, strong and gentle, traditional and new." She feinted with two arms and struck with the other two. X blocked the feint and left himself open. Na's claws raked across his shoulder, drawing blood. First blood. The arena erupted in shocked murmurs. Commander L raised his hand. "The challenge is complete. Na is victorious." X stared at his shoulder, at the thin line of blue blood. He looked at Na with an expression that might have been respect. "I do not understand what happened." "I found something worth fighting for," Na said simply. "Something beyond glory and honor. I found a reason to be strong that is my own." She turned and walked toward where stood. The crowd parted for her. When she reached the barrier, she looked down at him with those brilliant violet eyes. Her skin was still glowing that radiant silver white. "You shouted during my fight," she said. "I'm sorry. I know I wasn't supposed to interfere, but I couldn't just stand there and—" "You called me gorgeous." Smiled. "I did, in front of everyone. You said I was beautiful and strong and brave." "You are." Na reached through the barrier with one hand, took it, not caring that hundreds of aliens were watching them. Her hand was warm and gentle despite the claws. "Say it again," she whispered, "please." "You're gorgeous, Na. You're the most amazing person in the entire galaxy." Her skin glowed even brighter and tears ran down her face, happy tears this time. "I love these words. I love hearing them from you." "Then I'll say them every day." She pulled him closer to the barrier, leaning down so their faces were level. "I do not fully understand human concepts of romance and affection, but I know that when I am with you, I feel complete. I know that your words make me feel seen and valued. I know that I want to keep having these feelings for as long as possible." "That sounds like love to me," said softly. "Love," she tested the word. "Yes, I think this is what I feel." The crowd was silent, watching this impossible moment. A human and a warrior, separated by species and culture, connected by something that transcended both. Commander L approached them, his expression thoughtful. "Na, your victory today was unprecedented. I have never seen a fight that way before." "I fought as myself, Commander. Not as what I was trained to be, but as what I have become." L nodded slowly. "Perhaps there is wisdom in that." He looked at, "Human. Your words during the challenge were highly irregular." "I know, sir. I apologize if I broke protocol." "Do not apologize. You reminded us of something I've forgotten. That strength comes in many forms." He turned back to Na. "I am approving your request to remain permanently assigned to this station as cultural liaison. It seems you have much to teach us about adaptation and growth." Na's eyes widened. "Thank you, Commander." Over the next few weeks, something unexpected happened. Others began requesting meetings with Na, asking her about her experiences. Young warriors, tired of endless combat, curious about what else life might hold. The council, intrigued by the changes they were seeing, sent observers to study the station. X himself came to see Na before he left the station. "I was wrong," he admitted. "I thought you had become weak, but I see now that you became stronger, just in a different way." "Thank you, X." "Perhaps," he hesitated, "an unusual sight for such a fierce warrior. Perhaps when my service is complete I might return here, to learn about these new concepts. if you would teach me." Na smiled. "I would be honored." Life on the station settled into a new normal. Na continued her diplomatic work with renewed purpose, kept repairing systems and making the station run smoothly. But now they did it together, often meeting for lunch or spending evenings in the observation deck, watching the stars. The other species on the station grew accustomed to seeing them together. The small human and the towering walking side by side through the corridors, his hand in her larger one. It became a familiar sight and eventually an accepted one. One evening, about a month after the challenge, they stood in the hydroponics bay. Had brought Na there to show her the closest thing to a garden the station had. Plants from dozens of worlds grew under carefully controlled conditions, creating a small paradise of green and growing things. "It is beautiful," Na said, touching a flower gently with one claw. "I thought you might like it. It reminds me that even in the cold of space, life finds a way to grow." She turned to him, her skin the soft lavender that had become his favorite color. "I have been thinking about that word you taught me, love." "Yes. I want to understand it better, not just as a concept but as something real, something I can feel and express." "You already do express it. Every time you hold my hand, every time you share your thoughts with me, every time you choose to be vulnerable instead of always being strong." "Is that truly enough?" "It's more than enough." Na knelt down so they were face to face. All four of her hands came up to cup his face gently. "You have given me so much, a new way of seeing myself, a new path forward, the courage to be more than what I was trained to be. How can I ever repay such a gift?" "You don't need to repay it. That's not how this works." "Then what do I do?" "You just keep being yourself. Keep growing, keep learning, keep letting me see all of you, the warrior and the diplomat, the strong and the gentle. That's all I want." She pressed her forehead to his, that gesture of deep affection. "Ask me again," she whispered. "Ask you what?" "Ask me if I am truly gorgeous, even now that you know all of me, even my violence and my past and my confusion about these new feelings." Smiled and wrapped his arms around her. "Na, do you know what I see when I look at you?" "What?" "I see someone brave enough to change, someone strong enough to be gentle, someone who has survived war but chooses peace. I see someone who glows with light when she's happy, someone whose eyes hold galaxies, someone who is learning to love in a world that taught her only to fight." He pulled back to look at her face. "So yes, you are gorgeous, in every possible way." Tears ran down her silver face, catching the light from her markings. "Say it again, please. I will never tire of hearing it." "You're gorgeous, Na." She smiled and her whole body seemed to glow with joy. "And you are the human who taught a warrior to see beauty, including in herself. Thank you." They stood together in the garden, surrounded by life and growth, two people from different worlds who had found something universal. Something that transcended species and culture and the vast distances between stars. They had found each other, and that was the most human thing of all.